Set.
Is this thing on? I could never get enough volume. Kane, it's been a long time since I feel like I've heard this theme song.
I know. You know, believe it or not, though, we did hear it at the camping trip. What was that? Last week?
Yeah, that's true. I guess it was because we were just kind of standing out by the truck and did like what, a 15-minute episode or something like that. Maybe that's why it didn't feel real.
Yeah, it didn't. I felt like it was a pretty cool episode. It wasn't long at all.
Oh, I enjoyed it. And my favorite part was when your wife was slamming the door angrily. And when she walked
Yes.
When she walked away, you're like, my wife is just an amazing woman.
Did you actually leave that in? I didn't.
I did. I left it in.
Dude.
Well, I'll put it this way. Sorry, people. I might have to take y'all off air for a minute so I can explain this to Kaden. It didn't sound like she was actually mad, because she was, and we could hear that she was. But when it came through on the recording, it sounded almost like a joke.
No way.
Oh yeah. So I just left it in there because your response was freaking hilarious,
dude. That's funny. I love it.
Because you can hear like you can hear the truck door just like slam, like she's like, well, you just hear her in the background like,
yeah.
Bah, 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 and you just hear bam, and then you're like, my wife, is an amazing woman.
Oh, dude, that's so funny. That's so funny. Man, are we still on the air or no?
Yeah, we're on the air. I just I kind of put that in there to let myself know to make sure to edit that out.
Gotcha. Well, hey, man, you can leave that in there. I don't care. I think it's kind of funny.
It was funny.
That was, yeah. What did she say? She said something. She's like, I'm so glad you waited on us or something like that. And I'm like, I didn't even know you wanted to be in on this. Like,
yeah.
You know, go and eat some pie.
You're treading on such dangerous ground. Such yeah, we better edit that one out.
Oh man!
I have a list of things to go over. There's this thing called Google Keep, and it's like basically a notes app, and I use Android devices, so I can bring it like across, my computer or my phone. And so and you can set like check boxes and stuff. So it really helps out for like podcast planning and all that. But then I've noticed I've just kept adding stuff for the next episode of the podcast, and there's no freaking way in heck that we could get through all of this in one podcast. So I suppose we'll just have to like pick a couple and then leave the rest for something else.
Yeah, no, we haven't been on for a while, and so we just need to kind of make some changes and just try our best to be on at least for a couple weeks consistent, and then obviously you're getting ready to have a child, so you're going to have to drop off for a little bit.
Boy.
But if we could at least get a couple of like at least 2 solid weeks in to where we record, maybe we can get through some of that material for sure.
Well, I tell you what, I'm not above pre-recording a couple extra at some point.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we really don't hit anything that's like date specific. Like people don't tune into us on a daily basis to hear what happened yesterday.
Yes, exactly.
Unless some preacher was convicted of rape, then they might want to hear us talk about it.
Yeah, they may want to hear about that, which is usually quite often these days. Of course. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. They're not convicted. It's swept under the rug and forgot about.
Oh,
but
dude,
it does happen.
He came out swinging.
Oh, man, dude.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. We've talked about this before, about how much of this we want to actually cover on a regular basis, because let's be honest, this is a freaking depressing topic, and nobody wants to be known as the kid toucher hour. So I guess there are some people out there that would. Anyways, let's move on from that. And so a buddy of mine, I was talking to him about it, because I always, the listeners that I get to talk to, which is kind of growing in numbers, I'm getting to know some of you out there, which is really cool. And I'll ask their opinion. I'm like, we want to maybe try to lighten it up on a decent basis, but we don't want to leave this child abuse subject just leave it alone. There's still a lot to cover there. And by the way, we're working on several stories right now. Kind of like what we did with I can never remember their names off the top of my head. The Halstead, Kevin and Carl Halstead. Kind of what we did with their episode. We're working on about 4 of those right now. Just kind of a special episode dedicated to a holiness, be a preacher or church attender, whatever it is, that was convicted of sexual abuse. And those take a little more work. Kanan, we've been working on this one for how long?
Oh man. Well, I know the first one, I think we worked on that one. It's been a couple months now, I would say.
That's what I was thinking. There's a story right now we've been working on. And I still don't know how it's going to shake out, if we'll even be able to talk about it. But good Lord, the amount of hours that we have spent digging and talking to each other on the phone I found myself talking to people I had never met before for 2 hours trying to find out information about these stories. And that's not like to say, whoa, look how cool Phil is. It's just to say, we've really been getting involved in it. And it's not that I hate it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the investigation aspect of it. But we're working on several, about 4 of these different special episodes. But like I said, this isn't a topic that we want to talk about all the time because it's stinking depressing and nobody wants to talk about it all the time, much less hear about it. So a buddy of mine, he was like, well, maybe you should tell your listeners that, look, we have not stepped away from this topic, like as in permanently. We're just kind of easing up a little bit. Give us a break and give the listeners a break. I mean, good Lord, it's a heavy thing to talk about.
It is. And I think that's a pretty good idea. I was even told by one fellow that we might want to think about spreading more cheer. And I said, not without beer. It can't be done. No.
If you mix those two together, that is a wonderful concoction.
That is a wonderful time.
Jeez.
So he's like, maybe spread more cheer or whatever. And I think that's a good idea. Obviously, we do want to probably be more positive and stuff. Of course, with the way things are going with the economy and everything, obviously people probably do want to be more cheered up. Me as well.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't want to, it's not a cheery situation. And I feel like that there's things that just need to be called out. And positive is great, and that's what we want to aim for that as well. We want to try to find a good balance, but also too, there's a lot of crap that goes on in the world, and I'm not going to try to cover it up or like I said earlier, dust it under a rug and kind of forget that it happens. You know what I'm saying?
You're exactly right, and I feel like that for us, it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a luxury for us to be able to just look away from it, because there are people that are caught in these situations. They can't turn it off. It happens to them.
Yeah.
And that, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of a dark thought, but it kind of hits me every now and then where it's like, okay, just because we've decided we don't want to talk about this for a week, it's still going on. And it's still going on in churches. It's still going on in, whatever situation. And that's the thing too. This isn't just limited to the holiness movement or the Mennonites or the Amish or whatever. It happens frickin' everywhere.
Oh, it does. It does. It's horrible.
Yeah. And
it's horrible. Yeah.
So I will say this too. There are some people that listen that I think have kind of joined this bandwagon because, and this is, I don't think our show should take the credit for this at all, because there are other people start talking about it, before we did. But it does seem like this conversation is really gaining a lot of attention in the CHM community.
Yeah, you're right. I think it really is. I'm hearing a lot more people talk about it than ever before.
Seeing a lot more Facebook posts about it and stuff.
Oh yeah. And like you said, I don't know if we can really take full credit for that, but I think that it's just been kind of a word of mouth type deal. One person got to talking about it, and the next thing you know, man, it just kind of worked its way down the line, and which is great. I mean, it's awesome. It's to see that people are actually trying to do something.
And to the people who listen to our show that are pushing on it, I say pretty much what's been told to me, to us as a show. Yeah. Keep pushing. Keep the pedal to the metal, man.
Oh, yeah.
Keep making these people uncomfortable until they do something about it.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
And to that point, I have been told by a pastor recently who I guess is CHM, maybe on his way out, but basically told me that same thing, as in keep pushing, and also that things are starting to happen as far as church organizations, the church camp meetings, stuff like that. They're starting to take notice that, hey, this is a real situation that needs addressed, and now is not the time for us to sweep it under the rug, which was very encouraging, actually. I mean, just to hear that.
Yes, it is.
And see that things have been happening. But, this is something, I was talking to one of the, and I met this guy through our show, Ben. I won't say his last name, but Ben listens, so he'll know I'm talking about it. We were discussing podcasts and things that we should do, because I like hearing from listeners. Kane and me and you were talking before we hit record. To me, it's hard to do an accurate self-assessment. So if you write a song, you're going to think it's a really good song, and you can't really look at it through unbiased glasses, Yeah. And I was asking him about it. And he said, there's this desire for things that are real. People want to hear things that are real, and people talking about real subjects and stuff like that, instead of the whole glossed over thing of, well, we're all perfect. And he said he refers to the CHM as the cult. I don't know if I've ever really heard him.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. That is true.
He's not wrong.
But especially in that, growing up, it was kind of painted as so many people, man, they just have it all put together and they're just wonderful saints of God. When on the other end of it, I think I've gotten less harsh towards other people when I realized that I'm not perfect and neither is anybody else. And it gave me a lot more patience with people.
Oh, yeah.
Because I realized 100%. Like when somebody screws up or makes you mad or whatever, it's like, oh, okay. Well, they're not perfect either. Yeah. And it's not a way to put them down. It just kind of puts it in perspective. It's like, all right, don't be so hard on them.
Well, and that's why, man, as a young person, it was so hard to, you start looking at people and you're like, oh man, they're doing this or they're doing that. And you're just like, oh, I thought they were a good Christian, which unfortunately, and I'm not trying to take another swing, but that's kind of how we grew up.
Take that swing, bro. You take that swing.
If you just swing for the fences, boys. It's like, if somebody was, a woman was wearing pants or she had cut hair or, or whatever, you just kind of looked at them and that's, you just knew that they weren't Christians, by that right there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not the truth at all, but
no.
And, so, but, you kind of looked at them and was like, oh, they're slipping or whatever. But anyway, I kind of lost where I was going with that.
I lost your train.
The train done left me.
Well, I think it's true. When I see somebody that's flawed, all of a sudden I can relate to them, because deep down, we all know that we're not perfect. And when I see somebody else and I realize that they're not, I remember one night, me and a friend of mine, we were, me and him and his wife and my wife, we get together on a semi-regular basis. And there were some things I was struggling with in my life. And I'm not going to say what they were. I'm going to let everybody just sit there and assume.
He's gay. He's struggling with homosexuality. He's like, oh, man.
I'm going to let him wonder. But he's gay. That's great. But anyways, there were some things in my life that obviously I was struggling with, and I'm sure everybody else could see that were at least semi-close to me, and they could also tell I was struggling with it. But it was kind of the old ostrich effect. if I keep my head in the sand and I don't talk about it, nobody else can see it either.
Yeah.
So when I'm making random advances on dudes,
hey, it just circles back around to you. Just sweep it under the rug and don't talk about it.
Just sweep it under the rug. I probably should clarify that. I was not struggling with being gay, dang it. Jaden, you son of a gun. I do want to rule that one out. But anyway. It struck me as funny. But anyways, so, me and him, I'm
a funny guy.
Yeah, that you are. We got to talking to each other. We've got to know each other a decent amount over the past few years. And
definitely, huh?
This ain't going well at all. I'm not clearing up this situation at all.
You keep opening the door, bro.
But so, you know how hard it is to transition back to serious after your stupid remarks? So we were just talking, and I started because I like to ask people for advice, especially people that I feel like have more life experience than I do. And that doesn't necessarily mean with age. That just means with, they have experienced more. They've done things that I haven't done or whatever. And so I started asking him, just kind of talking to him about it. And next thing I know, he was telling me how he struggled with some of the same stuff. And next thing we know, there were two gay dudes standing there. Jeez. But it was not, I repeat, awesome, it was not about gay stuff.
You're working awfully hard to convince people.
What's that quote? I think thou dost protest too much or something like that. But it was just interesting to find out that I wasn't the only person that struggled with lazy tendency or what I thought was lazy, or just things that you try to work through, but you keep it to yourself. To me, when you realize that there's other people that go through the same thing, that's actually kind of uplifting.
It is. Well, and what I was trying to say, a minute ago is like, you as a young person and stuff, you start getting your eyes on people and seeing what they're doing and their accomplishments and whatever, and you start getting your eyes on those people, and then maybe when they are maybe not doing as good as what you thought, or maybe doing better or whatever, then you kind of, if they're doing better than you, then you're like, you can sometimes have that tendency to be like, oh man, like, what do I need to do? Oh man, I'm not going to get that, or they're doing worse than you, and you're like, man, what's wrong with them, whatever. And it's like, well, they're just people,
right?
And you can't get your eyes on people, and
or
that
even
would be, I think,
or even the perception that you have of those people, because our perception is usually never 100% accurate, let alone, it might not even be 75% accurate of those people.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, that's a very good point.
And I think a lot of this too, it's kind of a cliche now, but you think about all the things that people put on Instagram or Facebook or whatever with all the filters, everybody tries to make their face perfect. I've seen some people before, some people that I know, and it's like, I know you don't look like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know. It's the truth. I remember, you'll see ladies on there. No offense to you ladies out there, in Radio Land, as Phil Robertson would say.
In Radio Land.
In Radio Land. But dude, there's some ladies that you'll see them on Facebook and you're just like, oh my. And then you see them like without that filter, you're like, oh dear God.
I know. It's like, I wish the Instagram version of you existed.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we can talk.
Yeah, we can hang, It's like, it's so true though. It's so true, man. And that's why, dude, that's a podcast and stuff, man. But that is one, I am just not a social media bug. Like, I just cannot I look at some of the chilling stuff that I'd done when I was 18 on Facebook and Facebook Live and some of the posts, and Ooh, I just cringed. Dude, I honestly made a post and it was a memory that popped up. It was like 5 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like trying to read it back to myself and I couldn't even make out like what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking like, dude, people, like, is that how people read it back then? I mean, they had to think this is one retarded kid.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably right. I have the same kind of post myself and it's cringeworthy. Well, in fact, you remember we used to do that back soon after we started the podcast. We was pulling up like,
I do remember that.
The Facebook memories and reading our posts, and oh my Lord, it is hard to do. Like it's physically hard to do.
It is. It's so awful, man. You talk about embarrassing and then humbling yourself. Go through and read some of your posts and then put them on the podcast. Bad deal. Bad deal.
Well, I tell you what else too. I think we've talked about this before, but to go back and look at old pictures, some of the dude, your wedding pictures, I can't look at. I physically can't look at them. It's not because it's because of me. Like I was in this weird. Phase I went through was terrible.
You, I'm with you. Hey, dude, like if we were to pull out that wedding photo and show people, they would definitely think there was some homosexuality going on, bro. Oh, dude. Oh, man. Well, here's the thing. We just got done seeing that Dolph Lundgren haircut, and it looked great. It looked great
on Dolph Lundgren.
But yeah. I'm not Dolph Lundgren. I'm just not. I wish I was. I'm not. And but anyway, talking about like Facebook and stuff, like it goes even more than posts. Like it just, if I want somebody to know what's going on in my life, then you'll know about it. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're good friends, you know, like pretty much like 95% of what goes on in my life. Like you know, it's like and people that's close to me, I'll let them in on that. But it's like just to like post on Facebook and stuff, and like I just feel like it's like a look at me, look what I've done. It's like yippee, you and everybody else.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And I've kind of fallen into that trap before where, you know, everybody wants to be a star and everybody's like, you know, I think the thinking is everybody wants to be a star or be popular or be successful in entertainment. That's a better way to put it. But they want to do it with the least amount of effort possible.
Yes.
You know, and there's work involved in it. I mean, Kana, no more than we do with this silly little podcast where most of the time I'm set up in a third bedroom in my house, just angrily screaming into a microphone. It's
yes, that's true.
It takes work just to do that, and we're not highly successful.
Yeah, no, it's exactly right. Well, and I don't know, like, and I guess people honestly, if they're listening to the podcast and they're listening to me talk about Facebook, they're probably like, well, you're a hypocrite because you're on a podcast and talking and stuff. And I can get their point to that, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not the type that likes to take pictures of myself and post it and then post what I'm eating and, you know, post what I'm doing and post what my kid's doing. Like, I don't know. It just kind of looks like is like, you know, look at me and look how good my life is. And the thing about it too is I have scrolled through Facebook and I've seen pictures of people and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I don't give a crap.
I know.
You know, and then I get to thinking to myself, if I post something, that person that's seeing it is probably not really giving a crap either. So why am I doing it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know. You know, so it's just one of those things. It's like if you're a friend of mine, you're close to me, you'll know what's going on in my life. I don't need to try to make you think that my life is all grand because, well, I mean, too, like a lot of these pictures that I see and stuff, it honestly looks like that they're having this great time. Okay, they're having so much fun, but it literally looks like that they're like, wait a minute, hold that pose. I gotta slip my phone out of my pocket right quick.
Right.
Chick. You know what I'm saying? There's the picture. It's like, it just looks so, it's like, I'm sorry, you did not capture that in just one shot. Promise you didn't. Somebody took that picture. You had to hold that pose. And it's like, are you actually really spending good quality time with your family, or is it about how many likes and comments can you get, you know, on it?
Right.
So,
well,
anyway,
I'll tell you this.
We're probably not going to make friends on this conversation. But
well, I've noticed this too. I've gotten away from, like, when I go to, like last week was the Blue and Gray reunion in Philippines, Civil War reenactment and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And in situations like that, or when I'm at a concert or whatever, I've pretty much quit trying to take pictures or video of the concert because it's like, to me, it takes away from my enjoyment of the actual moment because I'm worried about, I want to be able to capture this.
Nailed it.
And there's very few times, Kanan, that I actually go back and watch those videos from Keith Urban whenever we went and saw that tour. It's like,
same.
It's not near the same as being there in person. And I would rather just enjoy the moment and have the memories than have to worry about getting the perfect shot with my camera.
Absolutely. Okay. So do you want to know the only pictures that I look at and keep on my phone is pictures that, like, say we were at concerts and stuff together.
Yeah.
Like, and we took pictures like together, like the 4 of us or 5 of us, like those are the pictures that I like to keep. But those aren't pictures, for one, those aren't pictures that's being posted on our Facebook. 2, those aren't pictures that like, we're like, oh crap, we got to get the perfect shot. No, it was just like, hey, let's get a quick picture right quick, and then I have it on my phone and I'll catch myself. Sometimes like my phone will go, like the other day, I don't even know what made it do it, but my phone brought up all the, like a slideshow, because my phone would do that, goes through like slideshows.
Mm-hmm.
And it went through a slideshow of all the pictures of Gettysburg in 2019. And I just sat there and watched that. I was like, that is so much fun. But there's a big difference, between just doing something like that than trying to get like this capture. Because you're right, I don't go back and watch those videos. I don't, because for one, the sound quality is horrible and it's not near as good as when I was there.
Right.
And then of course trying to get a picture. Well, usually I'm sitting too far back to really get a good picture anyway. So like, what's
That's
the point?
correct. I know.
So
yeah, and a lot of that too is like, all right, if I want to see a video of Brad Paisley, I can pull one up on YouTube in perfect quality. From like
exactly, great quality,
where he's been on with Stephen Colbert or something like that. I can actually see a good, well done video of him instead of trying to sit there and listen like I'm half deaf. Yeah, hear myself, cheering and yelling, making myself hoarse.
I'm with you on that, dude. Another picture. I know this is kind of weird, but another picture I look at quite often is the one picture of the 4 of us. This was before Jack. This was back, man. Was Kennywood. I think it was 2016 when we did that. We did that. What was that? The Skyfall or whatever.
Oh, you got pictures of that?
Well, I don't have. I think about this. There is a video out there floating around somewhere of us doing it, but there was a picture that we took right after we were standing in line for a ride, and we took the picture like right after that ride. And like, you can just tell that like both of us just looked like we're like almost exhausted. Like we're just like so existing at that point. So.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, that for people that's listening, that's never been to Kennywood. So there's this ride up there called the Sky Coaster, and it basically like takes you, I forget how high it is. It's freaking high. I mean, we're talking like,
what is it, like 150 to 200 foot, something like that?
I would say more than that, at least, if not more. And then you pull a ripcord, and you're basically on this huge swing then, and you just start falling.
Oh, dude.
And I can remember when we convinced ourselves to finally do it, and talking about people not being perfect individuals. I remember we prayed all the way up as the ride was taking us up. And we cussed like sailors all the way down.
Dude, I hope that no one could hear us, man, because I know there were some words flying.
Oh, there was some major words flying.
And which is crazy, because you would think you'd be cussing on the way up and praying on the way down. But that was not the case.
We got our priorities all mixed up on that one.
We did, man. Oh, dude. I remember you went to pull that ripcord, and for whatever reason, it wouldn't like release right away. And I'm like, dude, is everything okay? Is everything fine? Like, what's going on here?
We were freaking terrified. My blood pressure, I almost, the skin on my nose almost busted. So I was just pouring blood. My blood pressure was so high. I was so scared on that ride. So I remember the guys like, who wants to have the ripcord on their vest? And I'm like, he does. He does. I don't want that job. Oh, man. We used to go do that kind of thing on at least when I was a kid, it was a fairly regular basis, going to Kennywood and stuff like that. But man, I haven't been to an amusement park in years.
Same here, man. And which is really sad. I want to go so bad. And so, because going to Kennywood with you is the first time I'd ever been on
really?
I've been to an amusement park, and man, it was great. And then we went a couple of times after that. But you're right. I think that was the last time I was there and last time I was ever at an amusement park.
Yeah, it's a good time. And I think I'll probably start getting back into more of that stuff as Anderson, comes of age. By the way, we're like T minus 3 weeks at the moment. And, phew, my Lord, I'm getting a tiny bit nervous. And really the thing that scares me the most is that at some point Anderson will listen to these podcasts and be like, Dad, you were such a jackass.
Yes. Isn't that the truth?
And the sad thing is I will have no defense.
Yeah. I'll be like, you know what? I agree with you, son.
And then after he tells me that, I'll just pray that he never sees the videos that we used to put on YouTube.
Oh my. Hopefully those are lost somewhere. Oh, dude.
Dude, we tried so hard. We tried so hard. But I guess a lot of this too, we can actually speak from experience about, it doesn't work, people. You're nothing special. We say that because we're nothing special.
We are nothing special.
YouTube never worked for us.
We have tried it. We weren't successful. We failed. And then we wised up and was like, you know what? No one cares. No one cares.
Yeah.
So,
but at the same time, we never took no for an answer because I'm right now sitting behind a microphone doing the podcast.
Got an AirPod in here, just talking away about a bunch of nonsense.
The rejection never really took hold.
That people is not going to care about. People's not going to care about this. Dude, I bet you the majority of the people will listen to 5 minutes of this and be like, "Oh, it's again." All right, we're
done. Some dudes are talking about child molesters all the time.
Yeah, child molestation in Kennywood, kid's place,
Oh my Lord. What a terrible concoction.
You can honestly say that no CHM person ever molested a kid at Kennywood because they're not allowed to go there.
They weren't allowed to go to Kennywood.
They're not allowed to go to Kennywood. Oh, man.
Dude,
anyway.
As I was talking to Ben today, we were discussing the podcast and stuff. We were talking about how I feel like we kind of almost fell into a trap with the deep topics. Because when we started this thing off, and we've probably said this 3 or 4 times, but when we started this off, it was to just kind of be crazy and do like a cleaned up version of like Opie and Anthony or something like that. And carry on and tell funny, tell stories that we thought were funny. And then I began to realize I'm running out of stories. This was after like episode 2.
Yeah, we told a lot of them in the beginning.
Yeah, so then we took a swipe at the CHM because that's something we've always felt strongly about, at least for the past several years. And then we wound up responding to the preacher, and then David Eicher happened, and next thing you know, we're hip deep in this thing. But honestly, I think it's getting more fun the farther we go because we're putting in work on this thing, like a lot.
Yes. I'm
talking hours of behind the scenes work to try to find out information. Because I remember one day I would try to do a Google search for articles and find out information that way. And finally I was like, well, why don't we just start asking the questions instead of hoping that a reporter somewhere asks these questions? Why don't we just find people that are somehow related to the situation we're asking about and just ask them, hey, what do you know? And, it's actually started paying off. I mean, we've got some half decent stories in the work because of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do. It's very true.
Okay. Now I don't see any sense in going 1 second further. What do you think?
Oh man. We've covered some good ground, I think, tonight.
Yeah, we covered some good ground.
I think we covered some good ground. I think that at least we came back and let people know that we are still we're still putting out material. We just hit a little bit of a busy spell there.
Yes, we did.
I think we're kind of coming through that.
And I plan on trying to get back to the 1 week, a 1 podcast a week thing.
Yeah.
And really, we have maybe 3 guests lined up. I got to remember who they are, but
okay.
I know Byron's wanting to come back on. There's some topics that I would like to. That's why I didn't bring them up tonight because they would really take a good while, I think, to dissect them. And we have another ex-CHM lady this time. She's the pastor of a fairly large church in Florida now, or on the staff, pastoral staff, and she's agreed to come on. And so we'll have ourselves a lady preacher on here.
Dude, that sounds amazing. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm interested in getting her viewpoint on things.
Well, yeah, I am too. That'd be really awesome. And maybe in the future, maybe next week, I can. Today was a little hectic. I actually got off work a little bit early, so I didn't actually get in contact with you like I normally do before the show. So maybe next week we can kind of go over the topics that we want to dissect, and then we can just kind of dive into them immediately, into the podcast,
right?
And kind of go from there.
Well, and something else, if anybody that's listening, if you have any ideas for interviews, I want to start doing interviews too with, like, we had Mac on a while back, and
yes.
To me, he was just an interesting character. He'd been to prison, then he got his doctorate. And to me, it's like, okay, that's a pretty freaking cool story. So if you know of anybody, I guess to kind of put it into perspective, what I'm looking at doing, there's this YouTube channel. It's called Soft White Underbelly. And this guy just interviews basically the very bad of society. Like he goes to Skid Row, just interviews tons of people off Skid Row, people that's addicted to meth, people that are, active prostitutes, people that are, like teenage runaways, stuff like that. Just people he finds. I think he actually offers them money. So then they'll, cause they got to get their fix. So they'll actually sit and talk to him. He's, interviewed like, a warden of a prison, like a retired warden of a prison. He's interviewed mafia dudes, an inbred family from West Virginia.
No way.
Yeah. It's like people with a completely just different story. And to me, I love that. I love just hearing, it's like, this guy's point of view is so far away from mine that it just flat out interests me. And so if anybody, I mean, dude, we'll take, send them all. Send anybody our way.
We'll take them all.
We'll take them all.
Prostitutes and all.
From preachers to prostitutes. We'll interview all of them.
We'll interview them. And Phil here, he might interview that preacher a little bit more intimately.
Yes. One never knows. If you like the show, share it. We'd like to keep growing this audience. It's been growing over the past year, and we'd like to keep it up. Man, I haven't plugged the contact information for so long. We're on Facebook. You can find the Hillbilly Broadcast. Oh, let me try it again. Good Lord. You can find the Hillbilly Broadcast on Facebook. We got a Twitter account, Instagram account, hillbillybroadcast@aol.com. Just write to us, man. We love hearing from you guys. There's been several reach outs so far, and we've really enjoyed it. So, that's all we got. You good, Kanan?
Man, I'm good, bro.
All right. I love you all. Good Lord loves you, and we'll see you next time.